Let's get more on our top story now. The unveiling of Melbourne's iconic Myer Christmas windows has been cancelled over security concerns after pro-Palestine protesters were planning a demonstration at the opening. Retail giant Myer announced the decision, citing safety concerns for customers and staff. The iconic Christmas window display in Bourke Street Mall will still be there, but the traditional unveiling celebration will not take place. For their take, let's bring in Education Minister Jason Clare and Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Good morning to both of you. Jason, this is a Christmas tradition. The protesters have their stance though. Where do you stand?
I hope a bit of common sense prevails here. Melbourne's a big place. There's plenty of places to protest without stopping people celebrating Christmas. And over the course of the last year, there's been plenty of protests, and authorities have done a pretty good job of allowing people to protest without interfering with other people. And hopefully that'll be the case here as well.
Well, Myer says it's sat down with the protesters several times. They've said, no, we're going ahead. Should the Premier or the Prime Minister step in here?
Well, police in particular, authorities in, I know, New South Wales, but I think Victoria have done a pretty good job of negotiating with protesters over the course of the last 12 months. And, you know, I hope that they can do that here too. Get a common sense solution here. People have got the right to protest, but Christmas is important.
Sussan, where do you stand on this one?
My message to the activists, Nat, is just leave Christmas alone. The Myer Christmas window unveiling, really? And by the way, doing this is not going to convince anyone of your cause. I just think of the kids, the families that love this excitement on the unveiling and the tradition of the Myer Christmas window, which is under threat and looks as if it's going to be spoilt if we don't have a critical part of it. I'm also worried, Nat, about the other events that families might be celebrating this year around Christmas. And look, Melburnians, Australians have had a tough year. And I just hope the state and federal governments do all they can to make sure families can celebrate Christmas in peace.
Sussan, the protesters say there's no joy in genocide, so there should be no joy on Bourke Street. Should the Premier or the Prime Minister step in here?
They should do all they can. I am hopeful that they will, because there is a lot of joy in Christmas. There is a lot of special joy for families. And why on earth should that be put at risk? And our police have got better things to do. I mean, I do hope they crack down on these protesters wherever they pop up over the summer period with their ridiculous rubbish agenda. But they do have better things to do.
OK, let's move on. Australia has broken ranks with the US and Israel, voting in favour of a draft UN resolution recognising the permanent sovereignty of the Palestinian people. It is a major shift in our stance and could put the PM on a collision course with the incoming President Donald Trump, who's preparing to strengthen his support for the Jewish state. Jason, why the change?
You can't bomb your way to peace. You know, I think the last 12 months have shown us that. You know, the bombing has killed tens of thousands of people in Gaza, in Lebanon, you know, more than 1,000 people murdered in Israel as well. And what this is about is building momentum to a two-state solution. You know, we need to end the killing and start the talking. And this is a vote by more than 150 countries to build momentum, to build two countries behind secure borders where people can live in peace rather than what we see at the moment.
Do you mind that this puts you against the incoming US president, who's supporting Israel even more?
Well, the incoming US president has made the point he wants peace too. And I think the whole world wants peace. We want the hostages returned. We want an end to the killing and the slaughter. We want an end to the starvation of little kids in the Middle East as well. That requires an end to the shooting and the bombing and people to get together and talk. That's what this is about. Most importantly, getting two states where people can live side by side in peace.
Sussan, what do you think of this change?
We all do want peace, Nat, but I'm not sure why the Albanese government has chosen this point in time to break ranks with the US administration. They have also broken a promise that there wouldn't be differences between the major parties when it comes to Israel-Palestine and the Middle East. That was a promise they made before the election. But importantly, with the incoming Trump administration, this government needs to work positively and constructively and needs to build trust. We've already got Kevin Rudd's previous tweets up in lights on X today. We've had the remarks from Penny Wong and Anthony Albanese made in the past and critical of President Trump. We've had them reported, and of course they're on the record. So this government is coming off a low base when it comes to building that trust. And remember, we worked positively, constructively and well with the US, particularly in 2018 with the Trump administration,
the US supports a ceasefire.
To make sure we protected jobs and industries in Australia.
But this is definitely a departure. So is Susan right in that we are going out on a limb as an incoming president who has a different agenda? No,
I disagree with that. You know, hear what the incoming US president has said. He wants peace. The current US president has supported a ceasefire. Australia's been calling for a ceasefire for more than 12 months. The Liberal Party have voted in the Parliament against a ceasefire. They're against the position of the United States. So in other words, Peter Dutton, Sussan Ley and the Liberal Party are supporting a continuation of the war and the suffering in the Middle East when you've got America, UK, Australia, over 150 countries wanting a ceasefire and an end to the suffering, and the Liberal Party says no.
OK. Diplomacy is in the
Jason
language, though,
Jason,
and it is a change. Susan, last words.
Jason is distracting from the issue here, which was your question too, Nat, which is why break ranks now, coming off the low base that Anthony Albanese is in terms of the Labor Party's relationship. It's the most important relationship.
Did you vote against a ceasefire?
We want it to do well. We want it to succeed. We want the relationship to do well and succeed.
Did you vote against a ceasefire?
But as I said, it is coming off a low base, and if Anthony Albanese keeps this up, then that's not good for the future.
Did you vote against a ceasefire, Susan? You bet
it's
you did.
not good for our future, Jason, if we don't have a positive relationship with the US.
Did you vote against a ceasefire?
Jason, it's not good for the US relationship between Australia and the most important relationship we have in the world. That's what you should be focusing on this morning.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next